Welcome back for more magical moments on Moonlight Reel. Today I would like to show you a book called How to Make Magic. I'd like to, but I can't, because it's the hardest to find book, well, maybe not in the world, but it's pretty hard to find. It was published in England, some in the 70s or 80s. I didn't look it up. But it's a small 60-something page children's book about magic, quote unquote. And it's incredibly hard to find. It's $200 on Amazon. There's like 2 or 3 copies on the internet, and they're all $200. So I don't have it. I hope I'll have it someday, but I don't have it yet. Happily, a person named Cavalorn on LiveJournal has it. And he, possibly she, but I think it's a he, scanned some of the pages. So we're going to take a look at those, do some dramatic readings, and I'm not going to find out until later if my camera's focusing on this or not. And hopefully I will be able to stick in the cover at some time. I didn't print that out, I just printed the rest of these out. So here's the introduction. Magic is much more than hocus pocus and a quick wave of the wand. The conjurer who can produce white rabbits from a top hat and turn his cane into a bunch of roses is highly skilled. But even the most ordinary things have a little bit of magic in them if you keep your eyes open. That's very true. You will find it in the bottom of a teacup, for instance, or perhaps in a stone you find lying on the beach. Today, although man can travel to the moon, science cannot give us all the answers. We're still intrigued by a host of magical mysteries. Did you realize that lots of people believe in the power of magic charms? Or that even some of the most successful businessmen only make important decisions when their stars are in a favorable position? And then there's the sinister side of magic, the world of witches, messages from the spirits, those wicked spells, and of course things that go bump in the night. Do you believe in magic? Perhaps you are one of those rare people gifted with real magical powers, as well as having a few baffling tricks up your sleeve. Let's find out. And that's what makes this book really interesting. It's a mixture of stage magic tricks for kids and kind of wacky things actually based on real magical beliefs. This page, which doesn't have a page number, some of them do, is how to make your own Ouija board. Are there any spirits in the air waiting to give you a message? They cannot write you a letter or ring you up, but they may be able to get in touch with you by means of a Ouija board. And it just tells you how to make one using basically poster board, cardstock, glitter decorations. It says make the planchette, the heart-shaped planchette, and stick 3 corn plasters on the bottom so it would slide. And I was like, what the heck is a corn plaster? Like ears of corn? Corn on the cob? But no, it's like corns you get on your feet, and I guess a corn plaster is something you stick on corns on your feet to make them feel better, like a Band-Aid. So you put it together. I don't think it would slide, like on paper, sliding on paper, I don't know. But, so that's what it is, all the instructions, and then it says, place the planchette on the board pointing towards the letters and rest your hands on it. Now get in the mood and ask if anyone is there. Do they have a message for you? If so, the spirit will answer by guiding your hand. And if it cannot spell correctly, you have only yourself to blame. It's entirely possible that this book isn't really serious at all about much of anything. This page is how to make a black cat out of black felt. And it's perfectly normal. It's just how to make a little stuffed animal cat for yourself. And the weird thing, the reason that Cavalorn scanned this page, I'm sure, is this last sentence that you can't read because this page is really tiny, but it says, of course, this is no ordinary cat, but a, quote, familiar sent by the devil himself to lend a helping hand. Oh dear. So here's another page. This is pages 22 and 23. It's kind of interesting. It's how to make like a vibration detector out of pieces of wood and a pencil, and the pencil is up against a piece of paper so that if there are any ghosts in your room, they can wiggle it and make like seismograph readings, I guess. The title is A Spook Hunt. Is your room haunted? Do poltergeists play naughty tricks on you while your back is turned? You can carry out a simple ghost test, preferably at night, to find out, and then it tells how to make this thing by nailing boards together, and it's pretty involved. I don't know how many kids are going to nail boards together. Now wait for your ghost. Although you may not be able to see him, your equipment certainly will. Watch the pencil wiggleograph to see if there are any vibrations in the room. Keep an eye on the coins and... Oh, yes, so it also has coins and these candles here. Keep an eye on the coins and the flicker of the candles. Watch the thermometer closely, as the temperature will fall if there are ghostly visitors. If possible, have a camera and even a tape recorder standing by just in case. If you find your room is ghost-proof, friends can benefit from your detection services. So that's kind of cool, just because I haven't seen this wiggleograph in any other book. Some future video we'll talk about my favorite ghost hunting book, which is called How to Find a Ghost by James M. Dean, but that will be in the future. So this is another one that Cavalorin scanned because it's just really out there. So it's a stage magic trick called the writing on the wall. Names and messages that seem to appear from nowhere may have been written by some phantom visitor. At least that's what you could tell your friends, but there are a few secrets with which you can help guide the invisible hand. And then it says, go buy some potassium nitrate from a chemist. Saltpeter, it's also called. And I don't actually know what you use this for, since, this was like 30 years ago when I guess you could buy potassium nitrate. I don't think you can anymore. I do know it's one of the ingredients of gunpowder, but whatever it is exactly, you mix a few crystals of it, with some water, and then paint your message onto paper, not right on the wall, one assumes. And it says in italics, do not lift the pen from the paper. Make sure you remember the exact point where you began your message, as the liquid will soon dry without leaving any trace. Pin the sheet onto an outside wall and wait till dark. Why dark? This is really interesting. Oh, it also says, gather some friends for contact with the spirits once it gets dark. You might like to write a special chant to help create the right sort of atmosphere. Then, and here's where it goes really out there, then ask an adult to put a lighted cigarette at the point where you began the message and watch it burn into life. So, saltpeter, I assume, when you touch it with a cigarette, it does like some kind of a Mythbusters and goes all fiery. So, not safe exactly. Sounds like you could, light stuff on fire. So, yeah, a little bit explodey and dangerous, this book. This is pages 24 and 25. And here's some more that's just wacky. This is more stage tricks. Whoops, the dog. My dog is asleep with her paw right next to part of the tripod that your camera is sitting on here. So if it twitches, it's the dog. So this is, every magician sooner or later is called upon to perform on stage. It's how to do this trick called Genie in a Bottle. And, it's a swirly thing in a jar. And here's one about how to make it look like you're eating a candle. So, you take a banana and you carve a kind of a candle-y shape out of the banana, which, let me tell you, candles and bananas do not look the same. And then you stick a piece of like a slivered almond, from the grocery store. You stick that into the banana candle as the wick, and then you can light it, and it will burn because nuts have oil in them. And so you've got this on-fire fake candle banana, and then you stick it in your mouth and hopefully blow it out before you cook your mouth. This book is dangerous. Do not, put fire in your mouth at home, kids. So, moving on to the more of the magical and interesting pages. Since I don't have the whole book, I don't know if the real magic and the stage magic are in separate sections, or if they're just mixed together. Someday I will get the book. Or if any of you has the book, scan the rest. I want to read the whole thing. I don't have $200 though. So this page is about magic circles. One of the best places of all for getting into a spell-casting mood is within a magic circle. This will protect you from any spookies that may be wandering about. It is rather like a stepping stone between your ordinary world and the invisible world of spirits. Now that is entirely true. Authors continue, if you really want to send chills up your back, you could draw your magic circle on the night of the full moon, in a forest, on the beach, or in the grounds of a ruined castle. I've been to England. There are not actually that many ruined castles around the place, although there are some, and they are breathtaking. But, he says, your back garden will do just as well, and if the weather is too cold, use your own room with the curtains, windows, and door all tightly shut. And then it has some steps, how to make your own magic circle. And I'm going to read the whole thing because it's all wonderful. Draw 5 pentagrams, 5 pointed stars, on some thin card and cut 4 of them out. You must also draw a triangle with a circle inside and cut that out too. The diagram shows you what shapes these should be. So this is triangle and circle, some pentagrams, and this is a scroll. The 5th pentagram should be left on a square piece of card and rolled into a scroll. You will hold this one in your hand when you perform the spell-making ceremony. Step 2 is make 2 large circles on the ground, one inside the other, with either chalk or some white cord. Arrange the pentagrams and the triangle round the circle in the way shown in the diagram. Be careful not to put the pentagrams upside down, because they will look a bit like the devil with his horns, and you don't want him turning up. Step 3 is stand in the circle and turn to face the triangle. This is where the spirit will appear. Get your friends to join you in the circle, holding hands and facing outward. Start to move round and round and cast this spell. Starlight, star bright, very first star I have seen tonight. Wish I may, wish I might, have the wish I wish tonight. Now everyone should wish hard for a friendly spirit to appear. And yes, it really does starlight, star bright. So this whole thing with the triangle and the circle and the pentagrams, that's all like actual stuff. I've seen it in other books about how to conjure spirits. And the spirit really does appear in like this little circle, and then you're protected in this big circle. I've never tried to summon anything, but I have read a lot of books, and that's really how you supposedly do it. And so it's like the authors were like, okay, we're going to put all this stuff or actual history in, and then, oh, hang on, maybe it's a little too much. Let's put in Starlight, Star Bright, just to lighten things up a bit. And now we have a page 53, so we've jumped a bunch of pages. A bunch of mystery pages. What strange things could be on them? And we get to some love spells, because we always get to love spells eventually. The more romantic at heart should try these Halloween love spells. And then it's just sit in front of a mirror eating an apple by candlelight. In the reflection, the face of the person you will marry will appear standing behind you. You must never turn around to look at the person, though. Just finish eating the apple and blow out the candle. So that's like a basic folklore-y thing. And here's another one. Write the letters of the alphabet and cut them out and put them in a bowl and fill it with water. The letters that float to the surface will make up the name or the initials of the person you'll marry. And here's a really cute one. It says, or leave a snail on a plate and look the next morning for initials left by its trail. I love snails, so I think that's kind of a wonderful idea. And then it talks about apple bobbing, put like apples in a wash tub and then pick them out without using your hands, only using your mouth, which I have seen people do, but it's just like, sounds to me like a way to get really cold. And then it says, this custom of apple bobbing dates back to the times when witches were held underwater at the end of a ducking stool to make them confess. I do not think that apple bobbing has anything to do with ducking stools. I hope not. It would be a really, like, creepy thing to be trying to memorialize with apple bobbing. Moving on to pages 54 and 55 is how to make a scary vegetable man. And this one has fire burn and cauldron bubble at the top from classic Macbeth. To make the brew that the 3 witches in Macbeth boiled in their cauldron, you will need a toad, snake venom, a newt, a frog's toe, the scale of a dragon, and a wolf's tooth. If that sounds a bit too much toil and trouble, there are other less nasty black magic spells that you can try, but don't take them too seriously. Witches used to make wax or wooden dolls of their enemies and stick pins in as a spell to hurt them. Has your teacher or a friend made you a little angry lately? Here's what a witch with a sense of humor might do. Oh boy. Don't teach kids, well, okay, voodoo dolls, not actually. It doesn't really work a lot of the, I mean, you know, maybe, it might. You shouldn't voodoo doll accidentally, but, so it does not actually tell you how to make this creepy guy. It shows you how to make this creepy guy of, like, its head is a potato, and it's got carrots for hair, and make it fake glasses so it will look like your teacher, and then stick pins in the fake funny looking head. They may not have much effect, it says, but it is better to take your bad temper out on a potato any day. Now that I can agree with. The next, we're up to 56 and 57, so I think we missed a page here. But we've gotten to a witch's garden. A garden was important to a witch because she could grow many things that were needed for her potions and other brews. Witches who practiced black magic used many plants that were poisonous. Hemlock, sometimes known as devil's oats, and deadly nightshade, belladonna, were, according to legend, rubbed onto their bodies to make them fly. Mandrake was the most gruesome of all, and frightening instructions went with it. The person who wanted it was first supposed to loosen it from the surrounding soil. A dog was then tied to it and called away, pulling the mandrake from the ground. As it was torn up by the roots, the mandrake made a screaming noise which brought death to anyone who heard it. The poor dog would die because he could hardly block his ears with his paws. The hole where the mandrake grew was then filled in with bread and some coins to please an earth god. Finally, the mandrake was placed in a bowl of milk, wrapped in a white silk cloth, and stored in a wooden chest. Witches were also careful about arranging their garden. Ask your parents if you can bewitch a corner of your garden at home. The centerpiece should really be a tree around which you should plant a circle of white flowers, snowdrops or daisies perhaps, in honor of the moon goddess. You should also have plenty of color in the garden at all times in order to raise power, so try and plant for all year-round blooms. And to keep the witch hunters at bay, you must plant rows of red flowers as your soldiers, such as nasturtiums or red-hot pokers. It's so charming. This book is so charming. And here are some old woodcuts of hemlock, deadly nightshade, and mandrake, which I only know what these ones look like from Skyrim. And mandrake, I only knew because I put it in a story, so I had to Google image it to find out what the top of it looks like. Mandrake is apparently really hard to grow, because I was looking it up. I was like, maybe I could grow my own mandrakes, but I guess it's really, really hard to make the seeds sprout. You have to, like, file them and put them in cold paper towels in the fridge. Pardon me. So you cannot, like, just start your own mandrake business and make money. And here is a really cute illustration of a cat and a witch's garden. At least it doesn't tell you to plant poisonous flowers. And here we go for some ye olde magical remedies. Oh dear, where are they going to go with this? And it mentions dock leaf and hound's tongue with woodcuts here. Did you know that garlic is supposed to keep vampires at bay? It was first found in the left footprint made by the devil when he was thrown out of paradise. People used to put it in the cot of a newborn baby. Guess you want to keep vampires away from your babies. But not all plants were used for such gloomy work. If you rub a nettle sting with a dock leaf, for instance, you will get rid of the sting. But you must recite the charm, nettle in, dock remove the nettle sting. Hound's tongue worn under the soles of the feet will stop a dog from barking at you. So you had better recommend that one to your local postman. And then here's a magical method for charming away warts with a potato. And that requires some horsehair from an old mattress. I don't know, maybe in England they actually have horsehair mattresses still? Not in modern times, though. And then it talks about herbs are taken as medicine as well as being used to flavor food. If you visit the countryside, why not collect as many as you can and sew them into little square bags. Dry them first by hanging them upside down. Sachets of herbs were also worn around the neck as a good luck charm, but to give them a touch of enchantment, you must collect them when the moon is waxing or growing larger. That is true. I am glad the book doesn't tell children to make their own actual herbal remedies and eat them, because sometimes that can be kind of dangerous, because you know, the power of the active ingredient in a plant will be different depending on what dirt the plant grows in and stuff like that. That's basically the reason we don't all still use herbal remedies. That's why we've figured out how to do pills that have the right amount of milligrams of the active ingredient instead of just trying to guess how much is in this root. Alright, pages 62 and 63. Is my voice going to hold out for the 3 more pages I've got? And we'll find out. This is a page, oops, little one, a page about spells and charms. Abracadabra is probably the most famous of all the spells, but to cast the spell properly, you must write it out in the form of a triangle standing up on a point, as shown in this triangular diagram. You could write it out on a piece of thickish paper using a pen with an italic nib, like a calligraphy pen, I think. This will make the writing look a little ancient, especially if you ask an adult to singe the edges of the paper with a lighted cigarette. So yeah, this was written in the 70s when everybody smoked. Roll it up like a scroll and tie it with a piece of red ribbon sealed with a blob of sealing wax. For a container, you can use the tube from kitchen paper towels. Decorate the tube with some paint and a few gummed stars. And remember to carry your spell scroll with you on all magical occasions. It's so cute. Spells also have sentimental moments. One way to try to keep a faithful friend is to dig up the earth from their footprint, put it in a pot, and sow some marigolds in it. Even if you do have a row with your friend, you are still left with some pretty flowers to admire. I didn't actually look up the flower meaning of marigolds, but I bet the writers did, and I bet it means friendship or something like that. Last paragraph here. Charms with secret symbols can be carried with you for good luck. Buy a small amount of non-firing clay and shape a medallion from it. This need not be round. The shape may form part of the symbol itself, and 2 interlocking hearts would make a fine love charm. And then it's got pictures of clay charms with beads and marbles in them that look like they were cut out with a cookie cutter, and someone's pentacle someone has made. The pages that Cavalier scanned here do not mention pentacles, but I wonder if they're mentioned in one of the pages he didn't scan. It continues. Use any pointed instrument, even a sharpened match. These children have so many dangerous items. Even a sharpened match to engrave your design in the clay. Push in some jewels before it hardens. These can be small colored beads, seeds, small marbles, and so on. Make a hole in the top of the charm if you want to wear it round your neck, or make a key ring with it. Leave the clay to harden before you paint it. This rather faded picture is a very old charm. It was painted on leather in 1630 and is now in a museum. And it does seem to say ye charm, but what else it is, I don't know. The picture is very faded. Maybe a snake eating its own tail, and there's a triangle and the Venus symbol. I don't know what it is, or I don't know what the symbols are. Okay, page 65. Pixie dust and how to find it. The little people, the fairies, goblins, elves, liberty gibbets, and others are difficult to find. First, look for their meeting places, such as a ring of toadstools or just bare soil worn out by their dancing feet. A sudden small hill with trees on top may be a fairy hill. Even if you do not believe in them, never fall asleep under a lonely tree on a hillside. Fairies can be very naughty, and many a farmer can tell tales of cream being turned sour or milk pails tipped over by such folk. When you have found the fairy meeting place, mix a potion to make them visible. Pour some olive oil into a small bottle. Gather up buds of hollyhock, some marigolds, wild thyme, buds of hazel, and the grass from the tuft of a fairy throne. Put them into a bottle. Leave them for 3 days in the sun. Shake them daily. Not living in England? I don't have any of these plants around. And here's just a picture of a fairy ring of mushrooms. Last page about the magic wand, and it has pictures of hazel and rowan and woodcuts of trees. The hazel tree was also special. If you would like a real magician's wand, you must cut off a hazel branch at sunset. Sunrise, not sunset, what am I saying? To catch the sun's new light and power. Paint the wand black except for the two ends, which should be white. And that's the end of all of the pages that we have of how to make magic. They are cute and charming and kind of weird. It's such a strange mix of like ye olde wisdom, because this stuff about the trees, the hazel tree, and the painting painting rings on your wand is legit ye olde wisdom. And then there's the twinkle twinkle little star and the strange stuff and the banana candle. I love this book. I think it is wonderful. I really hope someday I can read the rest of it. And since my voice is gone, I can't make any more comments because I have to go drink water and stop recording now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time for more magic. Goodbye!